Right now, somewhere in the world, a fast food restaurant is opening its doors every single minute. You've eaten at these places. You've driven through their windows at 11 p.m. You've argued with friends about which one is actually the best. But I'd bet almost everything that you don't know the real stories behind them. One of these brands was named after a sandwich the founder hated. One was started by two brothers who got pushed out of their own company. And one, and I promise you this is true, was almost named something so different you wouldn't recognize it today. Here's the deal. I'm going to walk you through 8 of the biggest fast food brands on Earth, counting down. And before I reveal the wildest fact about each one, this is every fast food brand explained.
Number 8, McDonald's. We're starting with the biggest name in the game. McDonald's wasn't started by a marketing genius. It was started by two brothers, Richard and Maurice McDonald, who opened a simple barbecue restaurant in San Bernardino, California in 1940. It wasn't fast, it wasn't standardized, it was just a regular diner. Then, in 1948, the brothers did something revolutionary. They closed the restaurant, fired the car hops, and reopened with a radically simplified menu, just burgers, fries, and drinks, made using an assembly line system they called the Speedy Service System. This was the literal invention of fast food as we know it. Guess before I tell you, who do you think turned this single restaurant into a global empire? It wasn't the McDonald brothers. It was a milkshake machine salesman named Ray Kroc, who visited the restaurant in 1954, was blown away by the efficiency, and convinced the brothers to let him franchise it. Within a decade, Kroc had built an empire and eventually pushed the McDonald brothers out of their own company entirely themselves. They received a one-time payout. Kroc got the name, the brand, and billions of dollars. The brothers never got a cent in royalties. Today, McDonald's serves over 69 million customers every single day, more people than the entire population of the United Kingdom.
Number 7, KFC. Colonel Harlan Sanders didn't become famous until he was 65 years old. Before fried chicken, Sanders had failed at nearly everything. He was fired from multiple jobs, ran a gas station that went bankrupt, and didn't perfect his famous fried chicken recipe with its secret blend of 11 herbs and spices until well into his 60s. When a new highway bypassed his restaurant and business collapsed, most people would have given up. Guess before I tell you, how many restaurants rejected his chicken recipe before one said yes? The real number is staggering. Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times as he drove around the country trying to franchise his recipe. He slept in his car. He cooked chicken in restaurant kitchens late at night to convince owners to try it. Restaurant number 1009 finally said yes. He built an empire from 65 years old off the back of over 1,000 rejections. The Colonel Sanders on every bucket isn't just a mascot, it's the actual man, and his stubborn refusal to quit.
Number 6, Domino's. Domino's started with two brothers in 1960, Tom and James Monahan, who bought a single pizza store in Ypsilanti, Michigan for just $900, borrowed from a finance company. 8 months in, James traded his half of the business to Tom in exchange for a single Volkswagen Beetle. That's it. One car for half of what would become a multi-billion-dollar global company. Guess before I tell you, what was the original name of Domino's before it became Domino's? It was called Dominic's, named after the previous owner. Tom Monahan changed it to Domino's in 1965 after a manager suggested the name while tossing out ideas, inspired by the simplicity and rhythm of the game. The 3 dots on the original logo represented the company's first 3 stores. Tom planned to add a new dot for every new store until the company exploded into thousands of locations, and they had to scrap that idea entirely.
Number 5, Taco Bell. Glenn Bell, the founder of Taco Bell, didn't grow up around Mexican food. He grew up in San Bernardino, California, the same town as the McDonald brothers, and he actually watched their restaurant's success firsthand. It directly inspired him. He noticed long lines at a nearby Mexican restaurant called the Mitla Cafe and became fascinated by how complicated and slow tacos were to make by hand. So he did what the McDonald brothers did for burgers. He simplified the process. Guess before I tell you, what invention did Glenn Bell create that made fast tacos even possible? He invented the U-shaped taco shell fryer basket, a tool that allowed shells to be fried in bulk ahead of time and assembled in seconds, rather than made fresh by hand one at a time. That single invention is the entire reason fast Mexican food exists as a category today. Taco Bell opened its first location in 1962, and the rest is history. Number 4. Burger King. Burger King's story almost ended before it began. Originally founded in 1953 in Florida under the name Burger King, the company nearly went bankrupt within just a few years because their signature cooking equipment, an oven called the Instabroiler, was constantly breaking down. Guess before I tell you, who saved the company from collapse? Two franchise owners, James McLemore and David Edgerton, bought the struggling company in 1959, dropped Insta from the name, and replaced the broken equipment with their own invention, the flame broiler, the same cooking method Burger King still uses today. That single fix is the reason the brand survived at all. Burger King also pioneered something massive in fast food history, the Whopper. Launched in 1957, was one of the first burgers explicitly marketed as a bigger, more premium option, setting up the burger wars that McDonald's and Burger King are still fighting today. Number 3. Wendy's. Dave Thomas named Wendy's after his 8-year-old daughter, Melinda Lou Thomas, nicknamed Wendy by her siblings, who couldn't pronounce Melinda properly as toddlers. She even appeared on the original logo. Guess before I tell you, what was Dave Thomas's actual job before he started Wendy's? He wasn't a chef or a businessman by training. He was a high school dropout who worked his way up managing failing KFC restaurants for Colonel Sanders himself, turning them profitable before striking out to start his own chain in 1969 in Columbus, Ohio. Wendy's launched with a radical idea for the time: fresh, never frozen beef, square-shaped patties so they'd hang over the edge of the bun, and a salad bar, at a time when fast food was almost entirely about speed over quality. Dave Thomas later returned to school in his 60s and earned his GED, becoming one of the most famous high school dropouts turned billionaires in American history. Number 2. Chick-fil-A. Truett Cathy founded what would become Chick-fil-A in 1946 with a small diner in Hapeville, Georgia called the Dwarf Grill. He didn't invent the chicken sandwich concept right away. That came years later, after years of experimentation in his own kitchen. Guess before I tell you, what's the one thing Chick-fil-A does that almost no other major fast food chain does? They close every single location on Sundays. Every store. Every year since the company's founding. A decision based on Truett Cathy's personal values, prioritizing rest for employees over maximizing profit. Industry analysts have called this decision financially irrational for decades. And yet, despite being closed one full day every week, Chick-fil-A generates more revenue per restaurant than almost any fast food chain in America, including McDonald's. Sometimes the irrational decision turns out to be the smartest one. Okay, quick break from the countdown. Let's do a rapid-fire round. I'll give you 3 facts back to back, see how many surprise you. 1. Subway wasn't started by a chef. It was started in 1965 by a 17-year-old named Fred DeLuca, who borrowed $1,000 from a family friend to open a sandwich shop to help pay for college. He never finished medical school like he planned. Subway became the plan instead. 2. Pizza Hut got its name almost by accident. The founders, brothers Dan and Frank Carney, wanted a sign with the word pizza on it, but the building they rented only had room for 9 letters and a small triangular roof shape. Pizza Hut fit perfectly. That's the entire reason for the name. 3. Starbucks was almost called Pequod, after the ship from the novel Moby Dick. The founders eventually settled on Starbucks, the name of the ship's first mate, because they felt it sounded better for a coffee brand. One word decided in a brainstorm became one of the most recognized logos on Earth. Okay, back to the countdown. Number 1. In-N-Out Burger. We end with a brand that has done something almost no other fast food chain has ever attempted: staying small on purpose. In-N-Out was founded in 1948 by Harry and Esther Snyder in Baldwin Park, California. It was the very first drive-through hamburger stand in California, using a two-way speaker box that Harry built himself, a piece of technology that would later become standard across the entire fast food industry.
So, how many of those facts did you actually guess right? Be honest in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more food stories just like this one. And tell me in the comments, which fast food origin story surprised you the most? And which brand do you want me to cover next?